Welcome, everybody, to another Rev Talk. As you can see, Reverend Beverly is not with me. She had a bit of a scheduling snafu with doctor's appointments. So thankfully, divinely guided, I was able to get Reverend Vanessa to join me tonight. So thank
Yes.
you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kim, for having me tonight.
Absolutely. So we've been talking, and there was a lot of stuff that came up. But what's going to happen, I think, is we're going to pull a tenet card that Vanessa has made up on her own, which I think is awesome, from the Divine Order of the Sacred Rose, our tenets. We're going to pull that and maybe do a card pull as well.
Yeah, I was guided to choose a card from Spirit Oracle
Oh, I like.
today by Tony Carmine Salerno.
Okay, so
Yeah.
what should we do in the tenet, or we do?
I feel guided to pull a tenant
All
first.
right, let's do it.
Let's see. I am compassionate in every moment.
Oh boy, that's a good one.
It is. It is. And I
Like
feel
something
like
that's very juicy.
it is. I know, considering the holidays, right?
Exactly, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, and also too, just what we were talking about physical ailments and having our physical ailments speak to us and seeing what we need to heal. Just being really compassionate for our bodies.
That's good, yes.
Yeah, and I feel like when we're compassionate for our bodies, we can be more compassionate in every moment, right?
Right. Yes. Oh,
And therefore it's a trickle effect, we can be compassionate towards others when we're good to ourselves.
well, isn't that what they always say? Oh, you can't love anybody else unless you love yourself.
Yes.
I always have a very different time with that one. But
Yep.
the I'm compassionate in every moment. I've always liked that one. It always strikes a chord with me because it reminds me, and I don't normally think of it being compassionate with myself. So thank you
Yeah.
for that. It's usually I'm trying to be compassionate.
So we can get along with others.
Exactly. Exactly. Like, okay. Oh, I need to
When
be
it becomes
compassionate
too
every moment.
peoply,
Yes. It gets to be way too peoply out there. I need to remind myself to be compassionate in every moment.
so true.
But I loved that. I loved how you brought that around as far as being compassionate with ourselves, which is actually first and foremost what we should be doing, because then it allows us not only just to heal ourselves, it also allows us to be grounded within ourselves
Right.
and in if there's any chaos or anything that goes on around you, if you've been compassionate with yourself, you have that capability of staying grounded and not letting yourself get sucked into whatever drama is going on, or whatever's around you. So I love.
And then, right, you can hear the spiritual messages within our physical bodies,
Yes, oh, that's good. Yes,
right?
yes, very much so.
Yeah. Yeah. And what do you do to be compassionate for yourself?
Really, you're gonna ask that, huh?
I'll tell you a trick. I'll give you a trick.
Okay, give me a trick.
I have a few, but one of the ways that I nurture myself is through either a hot cup of tea or I make myself what's called healing broth,
Oh,
which is a recipe that I found from an author, Anthony William. But you basically just boil onions, garlic, celery, carrots, sweet potato. I throw in a little bit of salt. Um, a little tomatoes. I think mushrooms if you want. And if I'm like going through it, I make myself a batch of that and I just nurse that until I feel like my energy is back to center. And it's really, really helpful because it's like a warm hug.
I mean, wouldn't you say that it's not just the healing broth, but it's the process of making it that
Yes.
brings about that whole groundedness,
It's
and
so true.
doing it
That's
for
so true.
yourself,
Yeah. Yep.
you
I
know.
light a lot of candles. I take a long hot shower, whatever it is I need to do to nurture and be compassionate to myself.
Good. I like that.
I take it up a notch.
I like that.
And flower essences.
Of course.
Yeah. My new favorite.
New favorite thing. That's
Yeah.
awesome though. I think that's great.
Yeah.
I will do when I find myself getting a little too tense. I usually find myself like lighting some of my incense,
Mhm.
and just standing there for a moment, breathing that in, and if I do something like I'm very good at beating myself up, and I'll do something like, oh, I can't believe I did that. Lately, though, what I've been doing is laughing about it first. Like, oh, oh, that's funny. I can't believe I did that. That's funny. Okay. Yay for me. It's all good.
It's all good.
Yeah, that's kind of where I go with that. I try to quickly flip that around to find the good thing in it.
That's how you know you've grown
I know,
too.
I know. Little pats on the back, and there's nothing wrong with that.
It's
Not
huge
like
growth.
me.
I noticed that with like triggers. I
Yes,
see where I've grown and things don't trigger me as much. Or I mean, I still get triggered, of course, but
yes,
um, things that maybe used to trigger me don't so much anymore.
right.
That's real growth.
And I'll usually do that. Like if it usually happens around family. And when I'm driving home from the gathering, I'll go through in my mind kind of conversations, and I'll think, yeah, actually, you know what? I did pretty good with that. That's okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, I did pretty good with that. Yay me.
Yep. Yep.
It
I love it.
does get better.
Yes. Yes.
But part of it is finding the conscious effort of, recognizing that you've been triggered instead of just reacting.
hmm
Again, the compassion, finding the compassion in yourself to take that step back.
Yeah. So we need to practice this.
Okay.
Yeah. So let me choose another card. Oop. Let's see. A couple flew out here. I'm gonna do this one. Ooh. Looks like La Nurtura. Natura. Natura? La Natura? Oh. You will give birth to something new, something beautiful. An idea manifests the beginning of a new and wondrous journey. Blessings. This is the card. Isn't that interesting?
That is beautiful. You know what? I've been getting messages like that a lot recently about new beginnings and starting something new and being creative, that kind of vibe. So that's perfect in that I believe, yes, we are winding down the end of this year.
Yes, that's what
And,
I'm getting as well. Yep.
you know, thankfully we are winding down the end of this year. It's been a tough year for me. I know it's been a tough year for a lot of people,
Yeah.
as it's supposed to be, is what I'm hearing. We were supposed to be this challenged because there was an awful lot that was coming up that needed to be
Yes.
healed and needed to be cleared. So as we're kind of slowing down to the end of this year, kind of doing a recap, it's it's also a good reminder to think of what you want to start for the new year.
Yeah.
I don't mean resolutions.
No.
I'm not a big resolution person. I don't necessarily like that, but that's me. Just a matter of, okay, I feel lighter. I've cleared a lot of stuff out. What do I want to see in the beginning of 2025? What do I want to create for me, for my compassionate self, for taking care of what it is I want to do? And I think that's I think that's part of, what we're being instructed
I
with
agree.
art is that, okay,
Beautifully said. Yeah. And taking care of our physical bodies,
yeah, absolutely.
having compassionate for our physical bodies.
Yeah,
Um, I feel like this is about truth too. I feel like we're being forced to speak our truth more. No more sugarcoating things. You can still be gracious and kind,
yes,
but being strategic. Remember, we talked about being strategic with our words,
yes,
and really just stepping more and more into our truth and just not tolerating things maybe like what we used to tolerate, um, but still being gracious at the same time.
absolutely. Letting our higher selves come through.
Yeah.
And our higher selves are, as are we, all about divine love,
Yes.
which means you're showing compassion for yourself and also for those around you. And
Hmm.
I think that's part of the creative process as well. Allowing
Yeah.
that, allowing yourself to make mistakes too.
Yeah. I've been telling my husband lately because he's been rallying my cage a little bit.
Oh,
Um, Not in necessarily a bad way, but I do feel called to plant more seeds than usual.
that's
And I've been saying to him, is this bringing you closer to your angels? Is this bringing you closer to God? Who do you want to be?
that's great.
And he just looks at me. And I just go, love you.
I know,
Bye. You know?
but like you said, you planted the seed.
Yeah.
It gives
Yeah.
him something to think about,
Yeah.
that he wouldn't have thought about before. It brings it
And
to the
yeah,
forefront.
we have to remember too that this card doesn't only apply to us, it applies to others.
Right.
And to be patient with that process and to be compassionate in those moments because we're not the only ones going through it.
Absolutely. You're absolutely
We
right.
have to remember that. And it's like hard to do.
Everybody is going through something. Everybody is on
They really
this
are.
journey.
I see it when I at this a magical store that I work at. People are coming in for very specific reasons. It's
Okay.
because they're going through something
Right.
and they need to find the crystal that they need, or they need to get the tea that they need, or a reading, or whatever it is.
Right.
Um, we need to hold space for others, but also not let that get tangled in us too. It gets messy.
It can, absolutely. And
Mhm.
again, like we talked about, this time of year, emotions are very raw. Everybody,
Yeah.
it's all out there. And if you get yourself caught up in all the energies that are going on with the commercialism, whatever, it can be hard to navigate. So when you say holding space, I love the idea of that because that's part of, I think, part of my cross of service is to hold space
Mhm.
for
Mhm.
everyone. And
Mhm.
sometimes it gets a little daunting
Mhm.
to hold that space. And yet I remind myself that holding space for someone is probably is a wonderful blessing for me that I can allow them to be who they're going to be at this moment and not engage. I mean, people don't realize I'm holding space. I don't walk around saying, "Oh, I'm holding space for you." It's
Yeah.
not the way it's supposed to go, so I don't do that.
Mhm.
But I love the idea of being able to hold space for people.
Yeah.
That's my gift to them,
Yes. Yes. Beautiful.
which, obviously they don't need to recognize it. I
Right.
need to recognize it.
Mm-hmm.
So it
Mm-hmm.
can be, it can be challenging when you're in especially retail, it gets to be challenging to be able to stay detached,
Yes.
hold space. However, you're in a very good environment to be able to do that.
Yes, I am. I am. I'm grateful for that too, because I do feel like I'm being my best self when I'm there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yep. Sometimes leave a little drained, but that's okay. I have a nice ride home to recalibrate.
That's
Yeah.
good. I like that. I like that. You're being
Yeah.
passionate with yourself.
That's right. That's right.
There it is.
Yes.
So what do you think, my dear?
I think that's perfect. I feel complete
Okay.
and I feel like this was such a great message.
Yes, I liked it.
It
Thank you
was.
very much
Yeah.
again for joining me.
Thank you.
Rev Talk. This has been always a treat, always a joy. Um,
Same.
so we want to remind everybody to be gentle with yourself, to be kind to yourself, and to remember that you are unique in all the universe. There will never be another just like you in all of space and time. You are powerful, you are cherished, and you are loved. And without you, the song of the universe would be incomplete. Until next time, my friends, be well.
Well.